Good afternoon and welcome to the Ocean Harvest Technology Group PLC H1 Results Investor Presentation. Throughout this recorded presentation, investors will be in listen-only mode. Questions are encouraged and they can be submitted at any time using the Q&A tab situated on the right-hand corner of your screen. Simply type in your questions and press send. The company may not be in a position to answer every question it receives during the meeting itself. However, the company can review all questions submitted today and publish responses where it is appropriate to do so. Before we begin, I would like to submit the following poll, and I would now like to hand you over to Executive Chairman Ashley Head. Good afternoon to you.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us and giving us your time today to attend our interim presentation. I'm joined this afternoon by Chris Scott, our Chief Financial Officer, and Nico Steen, who is our Chief Commercial Officer. As we reported earlier, we're extremely disappointed with our results of the first half of the year. This was primarily due to two of our biggest customers actually not ordering during that period of time, which in terms of our overall customer base, that was a substantial difference to us. It was a double whammy in as much as that also necessitated in preparation of the orders that didn't come, the buying of seaweed, the preparation of it into product. So looking at the way that hit us, it hit us in two respects. I'd like to move on and just briefly describe where we stand today. This effect of the first half meant that we had a 47% decline in revenue to just under €1 million, which impacted on the gross profit and EBITDA and cash flow in particular, based upon the fact that we secured a lot of seaweed to be able to fulfill the orders that didn't come. As a condition of that, we've had to raise some money, which we have done through existing shareholders of €1.8 million against secured loan notes and warrants to certain, as I said, existing shareholders. This gives us sufficient capital to drive the revenue growth into 2025. On the sales and marketing side, as you're going to hear later, we have completely revamped our marketing strategy, which has only been possible to all the work that we did on substantial trials in the past. As you will hear, our new strategy is now to sell based upon the information that we already have and the performance results that we know improves the results for the customers out there on the farms. During this period of time, our new approach has seen the onboarding at a faster rate of new customers. We've added 8 across Europe, Central America, and India, all placing orders in the first half. In addition to changing the strategy, we have increased the number of our sales team, as you will hear. And we will use some of the new investment to even increase that headcount. On the supply chain, we have still got a very good supply chain in operation, which we can now utilize on a much better basis by only ordering what we need to order to fulfill what we're going to need over the next quarter as opposed to the next year. Just looking on the IP side, we're very happy with a lot of our trial results, but in particular our trial results on sows. We've been very strong on piglets in the past, but now we can prove that we're equally effective when treating sows. We've also been granted a second patent in the first half, which protects our ocean feed claims even further. I didn't want to steal too much of Nico's thunder, so I'm going to hand over to him now to explain how we're doing on sales.
Thank you very much, Ash. So welcome everybody, good afternoon. At Ocean Harvest Technology, we deal with something that has been around in animal nutrition for more than 3,000 years already, that's seaweed. What we do at Ocean Harvest, we take that seaweed, analyze it with the capabilities of what we have today, And throughout the past years, we managed to find out those kind of seaweed species out of 10,000 that show beneficial effect in animal nutrition. From that, we created unique specific seaweed blends in order to enhance gut health and performance in those animals. So basically what we do in Ocean Harvest is taking invasive seaweed species, getting rid of a problem for fisheries, taking that all-natural product, turn it into specific blends, and help our customers, farmers, producers, and feed mills to work and produce more profitable and to have a better return on investment.
Thank you, Nico.
Yeah, I can't drive it from here.
No problem. I'm going to move on to financials. So hi everyone. I'm going to take you through our first half financials, so period ending 30th of June 2024. So firstly to the income statement, as Ash flagged at the top of the meeting, a disappointing financial performance for H1, with both volumes and product revenue down by 47% year on year. So our two largest customers across ocean feed blends and single seaweed both not ordering in the period. Gross margin for H1 at 34.4%, which as you can see is a decline year on year of 138 bips. However, that was driven by discounted sales of aged single seaweed inventory. And I'm pleased to confirm that underlying margins, both at a total and importantly within ocean feed blends, were up. In terms of EBITDA, we reported a 1.7 million loss, which is an increase versus the prior period, largely driven by that volume performance, but also with higher one-off operating costs. Looking now more in terms of that revenue and margin trends on that chart on the top of the page, you can see product revenue in grey there and absolute gross profit in blue, and the decline we saw across those two periods, H1 24 versus 23. Pleased to confirm that our largest ocean feed customer has now resumed ordering, and they placed their first order in August this year. Looking now to the bottom of the chart, this is absolute gross profit performance, again year on year, so the 564k we delivered in H1 last year, and the 286k we delivered in 2024. You can see effectively all of that is through volume. What's hidden behind that number is we actually saw a positive mix, so more ocean feed as a total of our business, and despite seeing a pricing adverse here, that was all aged seaweed, single seaweed inventory, and ocean feed pricing is up year on year, as you'll see more in the later slide. So looking specifically on ocean feed blend pricing, what you can see here is our product revenue per tonne, and we continue to see good price momentum here. So 1,822 euros per tonne, which is strongly up versus a 2021 base at 53%. And if you look at the typical pricing, we're going out to new customers at the moment, north of 2,000 euros, up north of 70% versus the same base. Looking now at cash flows, so negative or declining operating cash flows in period, of course, driven by that EBITDA performance. However, we did see a benefit in working capital with a lower trade receivables balance and lower seaweed purchases, taking us to a net cash balance at the end of period of 1.1 million euros. Again, as Ash touched upon in his opening comments, we're pleased to announce today that the company has conditionally raised 1.5 million GBP or 1.8 million euros by way of loan notes and warrants to 3 existing shareholders. The net proceeds will be used to finance working capital to drive growth into 2025. In addition to this, to serve the cash requirements of the business ahead of the general meeting in 2 weeks' time, we effectively have bridging finance of up to 0.4 million from 2 of those 3 loan note holders previously mentioned. With this, I'll pass back to Nico.
Thank you, Chris. So, as said before, having unique species-specific seaweed blends we manage now, and we managed in the past, to prove these products to work very well and efficiently in all kind of livestock animals and companion animals. So we do have a strong base of R&D trials that prove our products to work, like in earlier mentioned piglets, now in sows being commercialized around the world at the moment. We got already strong trials in aqua, where we want to go further and look into warm as well as cold water application. We are at a good base with ruminant trials, especially in dairy, showing a high increase in milk protein and milk quality overall. We are focusing now on the areas where we see our product to be mostly asked for, which comes from dog and pet industry, especially looking at our sustainability aspects of the product, as well as in layers where we see the best results in terms of egg quality, sellable eggs, and egg white and eggshell quality. All of these results commercially result in beneficial gains for the producers, either not to lose money because of challenges in the production, or to have a better profit through better or higher yields and better quality in the output. The portfolio of evidence you can see here, I don't want to step through all of it. I mentioned it before, everything we sell through the ocean feed blends helps producers to be more profitable. So what we do is we enhance their production and their way of producing with an all-natural product that is capable to reduce the amount of additives used and to bring a better performance output. So it's proven to perform. It's really innovative and unique. There is no other seaweed blend in that form on the market. It is all natural. We don't add any preserving agents or trickling aids or whatever. We have still a shelf life of 3 years. It's a high quality product. We implemented up to 70 different quality checks during the process, and it's really highly sustainable, as we don't use additional energy or water in order to harvest or to proceed the seaweeds. And as said before, we don't need to add anything on top. That's why we see a lot of traction at the moment. The time is ripe for a product like that, and it's working. And that's what the industry is asking for and looking for. Looking at the markets we are targeting with such a product, foremost it's EMEA with a focus on Europe, where we see a lot of interest and most receptive in terms of sustainable approach, in terms of environmentally friendly harvesting, in terms of how we process the product, and in terms of how the product can be applied. Not only that, especially in Europe, the quality aspect is really important for us. There are a lot of straight seaweeds around the market, but none of those has the level of high quality checks as our seaweed blends. Latin America is a new area. We just started to sell into and to grow it since 3 months now. The speed is incredible at which we are growing there. Basically getting new prospects, new leads, and new customer every week. And we are looking forward to grow further in this region. And the third region, Asian Pacific region, where we did get a lot of traction in terms of poultry and aqua, especially in Southeast Asia, and are now taking the next step into India, where we see a lot of potential and have decent partners to get finally into that big market. So the solutions we are offering are basically to not only the species, but also the regions and channels where we have the highest likelihood of selling. So with the product forms at the moment, we are very much depending on feed processors, feed mills, premixers, and integrators. We are focusing on the markets where we have the highest density in the channels of these type of customers, and then from growing from there onwards to mid and small sized structured production size. We do have a new onboarding process, A for customers, B for distributors, that shall help us to grow faster, to convert everything we do in the market alongside the funnel much faster and at a better quality. And we do upgrade our sales approach by leveraging the uniqueness, meaning the education behind the product we can offer. There's a lot of rumors around seaweed, around algae. Often it's mixed up. Nobody knows exactly what they are talking about. But we see that educational part as a huge door opener to gain interest and to convert leads into customers. And as mentioned before, with the ocean feed blends, we do have a unique product proposition where we can show benefits a lot better and much more proven than in any straight seaweed application. The traction I mentioned before, we can clearly see it across the last 6 to 7 months with onboarding new distributors in Greece, in Spain, and new distributors are now onboarding within the next 3 months across German-speaking markets, France and Hungary. We got a lot of traction in pet food, not only because of the performance aspects of the product, but especially because of the sustainability aspects and the fact that you can save 10 tons of CO2 by applying 1 ton of our ocean feed in the compound feed. And finally, as that has been mentioned before, our biggest customer has returned after having had a high impact through a hurricane. They had to close 2 of their 3 production sites. They are back on track and back ordering and looking into more upselling potentials in different species now. So very promising what we saw the past month and continuing to do so. So why would we be successful in the future? I'll just sum it up here. We do have a higher focus on the opportunity segments. Just giving you an example, across Europe, you got 78% of livestock production basically in 5 markets. And this is where we lay our focus on now, to be at the biggest opportunities we can find and grow them from there into maybe smaller opportunities globally. We have a significant investment in sales and marketing, adding new people on the ground in those focus areas. We reduced the customer concentration risk by selling alongside the value chain in whatever size of operation. As I mentioned before, the smaller they are, the more we are depending on distributors and sales partners. That is working very well. That's why we have an increased use of distributors worldwide, still ongoing to onboard several of them. And we do now have tailored product and sales training to make sure that the horsepower we have in terms of our product application and benefits will hit the road soon and will help us to grow fast. Finally, as I mentioned before, we have a tailored approach to each of our sales channels to have the right message with the right door opening effect into that interest and consideration per channel. So from vets to feed mills to end users to farmers. So we are aligned that we meet need and demands of those channels. Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Nico. So I'm going to briefly talk you through supply chain updates. So as you'll recall from our full year presentation, we've made huge strides in terms of seaweed supply, sourcing north of 3,000 tonnes in 2023, onboarding 3 new regions. So we are well placed to serve the demand that we see going forward into 2025 and beyond. And a reminder of our manufacturing capacity. So all of our processing capacity sits in Vietnam. In today's footprint, we can manage 3 times current demand, and with capex of less than €500,000, we can reach 10 times that. So again, with our current footprint in terms of manufacturing alongside supply, we are well served to meet the demands we have in our long-range plan.
Thank you. Just then to summarize a little bit and look at the outlook, we're very comfortable about the future, very positive, and we are learning from our mistakes, especially in the way we're purchasing our seaweed, because it uses up a lot of capital. But now, where we stand, the company, we are very confident, is going to report a full year revenue of €2.4 million. As we keep on repeating, but it is so crucial to us, our largest customer has resumed ordering. Not only that, some of the procedures that Nico and his team have put in place, we are expecting our customers now to actually feed back a lot more intelligence as to when they're going to order and how much they're going to order. This obviously will enable us to use our cash flow in terms of buying seaweed in a much better way. Full year, we're expecting to improve our gross margin on ocean feed up to 40%. So based upon these, OHT confidently expects 2025 will be a year of substantial growth. I want to thank you for listening, but maybe we should just now open it up to questions.
That's great, Ashley, Nico, Chris. Thank you very much indeed for your presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, please do continue to submit your questions using the Q&A tab situated on the right corner of your screen. While the company take a few moments to read those questions submitted today, I would like to remind you that a recording of this presentation, along with a copy of the slides and the published Q&A, can be accessed via our investor dashboard. Ashley, Chris, Nico, as you can see, we have received a number of questions throughout today's presentation. And Chris, if I may now hand back to you to chair the Q&A and kindly ask you to read out the questions where appropriate to do so, and I'll pick up from you at the end. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. So the first one I will take, and the question is, the historic build-up of inventory has been one of the largest uses of cash. How are you managing this inventory, and how do you plan to reduce excess stock while still supporting growth? Yeah, so absolutely. I think Ash and I both touched upon this point. So we closed the half year with a significant inventory balance. That, of course, was off the back of lower demand in H1. So in terms of days, number of inventory was very high, so north of 400 days at the half year. Where we want to get to is closer to 100 days. So what we're doing now is managing buying carefully, i.e. at lower levels, but ensuring we don't lose those supplier relationships ahead of demand increases we're seeing. So by the time we hit sort of H2 next year, I expect to see a much more normalized inventory level in the region of 100 days.
This one for Nico.
Yeah, this one's for Nico. Can you see that on your side, Nico, on customer concentration?
How you manage your customer concentration risk, particularly given the resumption of orders from your largest ocean feed customer? How might this affect revenue projections for H2 24 and 25? Thanks for that question. So mainly what we changed towards the approach we had in the past is not to focus all our approaches to the big accounts only. What we learned from the past is losing or not having ordering one of those accounts gives us a huge problem. So we spread more evenly from big accounts to mid-sized production And if we look at decent production areas, mid-size is still, like in swine, 5 to 20,000 animals. So to spread that more even and to bring the risk down by losing maybe one bigger customer, and to be able to cover that ditch in case there is one. What we see from that approach on top is very beneficial, that we go on the mid-small sized range of productions. They are convinced of our products, and they will then get back to the bigger accounts, which are the feed millers and compound feed producers, basically proposing our product to be put in those accounts. So it gives us more stability alongside the different sizes of production.
Thank you, Nico. Has the second largest customer given any indication of if and when they will begin reordering? So that's our large single seaweed customer. Nico, do you want to take that one?
Till now, we don't have any indication on when and if they might be reordering. But fortunately enough, we have 2 accounts of the same size now within the funnel who are looking into cooperation with us from potentially next year onwards, which would be much more than the second biggest customer. So we are still waiting for an answer from them. We are still trying to get them back on board, but obviously they seem to have some internal changes and do not have the need to come back in time. But you will surely be updated if something happens.
And I just add to that as a reminder that sort of single weed volumes do tend to be much more lumpy. It's commoditized and effectively price driven, rather than on the ocean feed blends. You know, once we're into a feed chain, it tends to be very sticky, and then we see consistent ordering.
That's great, Chris, Ashley, Nico. Thank you for addressing all those questions for investors today. And of course, the company can review all questions submitted today, and we will publish those responses on the Investor Meet Company platform. But before redirecting investors to provide you with their feedback, which I know is particularly important to the company, Ashley, could I please ask you for a few closing comments?
Just very easy. Just want to thank everybody for their support. I want to thank you all for listening today. And just hoping that next time we are talking in front of you, that the words we've given you in our confidence today turn into results. So thank you very much.
That's great, Ashley, Chris, Nico. Thank you once again for updating investors today. Could I please ask investors not to close this session, as you will now be automatically redirected to provide your feedback in order that the board can better understand your views and expectations. This will only take a few moments to complete, and I'm sure will be greatly valued by the company. On behalf of the management team of Ocean Harvest Technology Group PLC, we would like to thank you for attending today's presentation, and good afternoon to you all.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.